Welcome everyone to today's Monday Reset conversation with the Legacy Collaborative. Just a quick reminder, there are three different things that we do at the Legacy Collaborative. The primary one is we're building a global network inside the real estate industry for any business owners in the real estate industry to connect with each other, grow each other personally, professionally, and train together and celebrate our wins inside the network. Our goal is to be at 20,000 members by 2028, and we're going to be physically meeting in at least 15 or more countries by then. And we're only 3 months in, and you guys were already at over 320 members. So congratulations to all of you who are inviting your friends that want to grow together. We do in-person events. Our very first in-person event is coming up July 16th. It's the first one ever, and it is at Drift from 2 to 4. If you need the link for the Eventbrite, just let anybody on here know and we'll get it over to you. It's also in the Facebook group on the event, and we would love to have you. It's only going to be a small, intimate group, so there are a few tickets left, and we need to get them purchased this week so we can make sure that you don't miss out. And it will set your second half of 2025 up for success. And we're really excited about the amazing panel that's going to be a part of it as well. And then thirdly, I actually have a select few one-on-one elite coaching spots hi, how are you? 4 of those 15 spots are already taken, and those are for leadership of brokerages that are looking to completely shift the trajectory of their brokerage. And I'll do a 1-year partnership with them, big teams or top producers that are looking to get their life back. So if you know any of those people, make sure you introduce them to me. And don't worry, whenever my 15 spots are up, I am also going to be developing and growing coaches inside of this and partnering with other talented coaches. So those are all the things, and we're so glad you're here today. We started off with a couple of wins. Some were super fun. And today our guest is one of my favorite people in real estate. We have been friends for a long time. I actually think we started in the industry right around the same time. And although my path was like leadership, coach, trainer, she's done all of those things and still does coach and train. And the way that she's built her real estate business has been high energy, fun. And we met in Keller Williams Young Professionals Network years ago and kind of grew alongside each other in different directions, but also as leaders who care about giving back to the people that we build opportunities for. And I'm just so grateful that when I walked up to her in the office and asked if she would be a part of this today, she said yes without hesitation. So Nicole, thank you so much. Obviously, you are busy today and in your car, and you still made time to be a part of this with us, and we're so grateful. Welcome.
For having me and for bearing with my environment.
You figured it out, and that's what we all do, right?
We pivot, don't panic.
That's right. Write that down. Pivot, don't panic. If you hear nothing else, let's start at the beginning. What did the early days of launching your business look like, and what were some of the hardest moments that you had to push through to keep going?
Yeah, the early days were equal parts chaos and blind faith. I was working nonstop trying to prove that I can make something out of nothing. I didn't have fancy systems or support staff. I was just determined to outwork the doubt and to outwork everyone around me. And there were times I questioned everything. Who doesn't? Especially when deals fell apart or clients ghosted. Honestly, there were times I felt like I was sacrificing everything and not gaining anything. I was like succeeding so slow, it felt like I was failing. And what kept me going was the belief that I was building a business, like a life I could be proud of, and the life that I wanted, and an uncapped potential that I wanted for myself and now inevitably my family. Grit got me through that season, but so did heart. And every late night, every mistake, I wore it all as fuel.
Yeah, you did. So tell everyone here who doesn't already know you what year you got started.
2013.
Yeah, same exact year as me.
2013.
2013. And one of the things that's my favorite about you is exactly what you already said. You thought about it as a business the whole time, even before you had the pieces of this specific business in place. And I think that that sometimes can be unusual for young people when they get started. And it's an important thing to think about. Even if you've run other businesses before, this one's different. If you haven't run other businesses before, you're running a business. And you thought about it that way from the very beginning, and your work ethic and your energy and how you just got out there and you were consistent with lead generation and making things happen, I believe is one of the things that caused you to have early success compared to other people and probably slow success for you, for your patience level. I think we have that in common. So talk about your trajectory. Like, Where did you land in units and volume over the time that you built your business in the past 12 years?
Oh, I mean, my team is over probably 2,000 sales at this point. My per dog be over 1,000 of that. I think I'm up to like 1,400 sales myself, and probably in the ballpark of 500 million in volume. And we don't have like a super high price point. It's not like we're exclusively working luxury or anything of the sort. You know, we're average like 470 now, and at the time we started with an average of 200,000. So definitely have climbed with the economic changes, but it's not like we have this like crazy price point where we're selling few units. We're very much a volume based team.
I love that you share that. So I know a lot of people on here that actually are starting that way, or they're kind of in the middle of being intentional about having a variety of price points. How did you shift in ensuring that you had a variety of price points over time?
Depending on your lead gen strategy, you know, we shifted by ultimately changing where we did open houses or the type of relationships we were intentional about building. So, for example, when I first started, I would in Mint Hill, now in 1 weekend doing all of them. So I'm working, I just have to work. Have clients. It doesn't matter where. And over the years, I got more intentional with, okay, what price do I want to be working? Where to work? And I think that you build that luxury after you put in the work to have repeat business. Like at first, it's like take what you can get because the experience is the prize. And as that passes, it turns into okay, now you get to pick. Now beggars can be choosers because you're not begging anymore. And so I would just say that is the focus. I mean, same thing. I just joined a country club, and I did that because we're at a stage in our life where I do want my price point to go up. So while I certainly want authentic relationships and I joined it for social reasons, I would be lying if I said I also hope I hope I get business out of it as well, but that's not the purpose for joining. It should be a result, but it's not the purpose.
I love that. So what you're saying is you really just continue to lean into the networks and the groups of people that were a natural part of the life that you're living at that point in your journey. And because it was authentic to where you were, it was the best way for you to build a deep business so that people continue to refer to you and trust you with their real estate and their wealth building over time.
Yes, we're relationship focused. I mean, we are straight people have done 3, 4 transactions with us. Even when I do marketing, I almost don't even use our logo. Like, it's not even about that. It's like, how can I serve the community? And you hope that the relationships that you're serving ultimately want to have reciprocity of some kind. But I don't do it for that reason. I do it because I love building community. I love bringing people together. I love coming from contribution. And that does just turn to business.
Absolutely, it does. I've seen you show up that way, both like far away when we first started working together and also in my own neighborhood. So it's kind of awesome for me to see the way that you've shown up that way. Nicole actually, like recently, until recently, had a house in our neighborhood when we moved back to this area. So I've been able to see her bring women together and create experiences and just add that positive energy to the world, exactly how she's describing. So I love hearing you say that. Early on, what mindset shifts or pivotal decisions helped you move from survival mode and just like grinding to building with strategy and long-term vision?
When I stopped to learn, okay, what is the end game? Like, what am I working towards? Every decision became so much more intentional and so much more on purpose that it allowed me to start seeing the forest through the trees. Like, it's like, okay, I am now working towards something instead of just working. And when you're working towards something and it's not an end goal, there's not like I want to sell this many units. It's more of I want to hit my freedom number by a certain age. And that is a huge goal. And so every decision became easier. It's like, if it doesn't contribute to my family, my key relationships, my business, or my health, like, it's a no from me, dog. I'm out. Like, not happening. And this year, I've even tried to hit two of those buckets. Like, if it's not my health, key relationship, business, family, hitting two of them, I've been saying no. And I used to go say yes to everything because I told myself, like, oh, if I go to this wedding, it's lead gen because I'm going to see people. And while that is true, if it's not two of the boxes, it hasn't made its way to my calendar. And so I definitely have not done this perfectly this year, but knowing what I'm working towards allows me to say no to things without saying, oh, am I free that day? It's like, it doesn't matter if I'm free the 5 days before it, 5 days after it, and all day that day. If it doesn't check those two boxes, I don't even check anymore. And that mindset shift has helped me protect my time and energy towards the things that do affect those boxes daily.
Oh, I love that mindset shift so much. I'm a big calendar girl. You know, you and I speak the same language around how we coach and lead people, and just being very purposeful with the way that we invest our time and our money. And I just hear the way that shows up for you. And I know that has an impact on your team members as well when you help them live that way. So thank you for sharing that. When you look at your business now, what does a typical day look like for you? And how is that different from how you operated in the first little bit of your business?
I think the first little bit, you're just being controlled by the contracts. You're like, whatever the contracts need, I am there for it. And now, definitely more intentional. You know, I wake up pretty early. I work out a few times a week. I wish it was every day. I'm working on it. Um, some days I just like, I never want to, but some days I'm just like, is the sleep more important? So it's all in progress, let me just say. But I get ready, get my son ready. I have a 2.5-year-old toddler. I have him at daycare by 8. And then at 8 o'clock to 8:30, I have office hours with my team. So if anyone needs anything, is struggling with anything, or wants my opinion on something, they know to show up for that. And if not, they don't have to be there. We do a team power up from 8:30 to 9, which is just like to get our mindset right, scripting, anything like that. And then after that, most days, Mondays operations, but most days it's okay, what client projects do I have? What is the one thing I can do today to move the needle forward? How do I be proactive instead of reactive? I know that if I sit down at my computer all day, I'll be in my email all day, but not necessarily because I had 8 hours worth of email, but because they kept coming in and I decided to let that control where I went. So I live and die by my calendar, and I try to not even leave free space. So if I see something coming into my email, like, let's just say I have a listing coming up, I will then block time and say, okay, tomorrow at noon, I'm going to work on this listing. And then anything that comes in for that gets snoozed from my Gmail to that exact time. So it's also not something that I'm repeat seeing over and over again as the time passes. And so just really intentional with my time blocks, and then really intentional with my email management, making sure that I'm not overspending time, and also that I'm organizing in a way where I'm not reusing energy for something that I've already blocked time for.
That is such gold. When you described it that way, I think about the days that I worked in companies where we did like job costing or cost accounting as it relates to money, and you're just doing job as a, time as it relates to each project. And I really love that because a lot of people in this industry believe that you don't really have the option to block together what you're focused on because you're dependent on other people. As you talked about earlier, you're just kind of at the will of whatever people want. And I would argue you could actually show up that way from the beginning. And like when you first start your business, if you really have that operations mindset that you're choosing to have now, it just is a matter of if you already think that way or when on your journey you learn to think that way.
I think too, what you tell yourself matters. So I used to tell myself, like, oh, I'm offering poor service if I don't pick up every time they call, or I'm offering poor service, like, if I don't call them. And in reality, today, my business is as big as it's ever been. And I like almost never talk to my clients on the phone at all. Like, even when we're negotiating, like, I have such control of the conversation, and they are educated, and I use ChatGPT and I use video and I use voice memos and I use all these things that do allow me to control my time. And I used to tell myself, oh, that's bad service. And when I say it out loud, I feel like it's bad service, but I know it's not because I sell 100 homes a year from repeat business and Spear. So it can't be that bad because people are still sending us business.
Yeah, they must be happy with how you're taking care of them. What I hear you saying is you do a great job of setting expectations, and then you have operational systems that ensure that they're communicated with and they have a five-star experience. And I know everyone here either already has a business that way or aims to. And when I was asking you what your secret weapon was, although I'm sure that it was hard for you to identify that, as sometimes we are not very, it's not easy for us to understand our own greatness and other people can see it easier at times. But you mentioned operations are your secret weapon. So can you break down the key systems or habits that keep your business running well?
A great team for starters, so I'd be remiss not to say that first. My team's amazing. The actual systems that we follow, I mean, we have a system for everything. If it's an email that goes out regularly, we have an email template for it. If it is anything that happens on a recurring basis, we have a process for it. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3. With step 1, here's the email. This is exactly what happens next with the exact steps to do it. So that really there's no ambiguity on, okay, what happens next? Now, the interesting thing is because we have a team of salespeople, real estate agents don't even think to let me look at the process. They're just like, oh, what's next? No. And it's like, you actually do know. It's literally documented with every step in email in order. All you have to do is look. But as salespeople, we're all like, first thing, loudest thing on our mind is the most important thing. But I will say systems that I have that can be duplicated easily is snoozing emails to a time block. Like that's a system I have. If something comes in and I'm not blocked to do it, I add it to my calendar if it's more than 2 minutes and snooze it to that time. Clean that and get clear of my head of the only reason we start to feel pressure in our heads to get stuff done is because we don't know when we will do it if we don't do it now or at our first opportunity. But if you can plan and say, I am going to handle this at this time tomorrow, then you're no longer having it on your weight of, oh my gosh, when's it going to get done?
It's so funny that you say it like that because it reminds me of the book Getting Things Done, where you do like the entire brain dump of all of your personal and business everything and then get it organized to take the first action on it. And yet I still haven't heard it exactly described as the way that you organize it, which is genius. What are some other small systems that you think helped you have great operations early on so you could start affording leverage and attracting people into your world?
Definitely using a transaction coordinator. They allowing leverage. I think while I am a completionist, I'm not a perfectionist, and I had to get okay with letting someone else do it well, but maybe not how I would do it because that by itself is a system. Like me using a transaction coordinator is a system. It's taking it off my plate, putting it on someone else's, but still being responsible for it. Another system that we used early and often is just making sure that we're actually in our database. It doesn't matter what program you use the one you will. So for me, I didn't work out of Command or even Boomtown or Follow Up Boss or Brevity. I made sure that I had my follow-up game in place in my Gmail. So whatever system you choose to use, dive all the way into it because it's super helpful. Instead of trying to do 6 things part of the way, just pick the one you're going to use and that comes the easiest to you. And later on, if you want to change to what everyone else is doing or whatever the software is,
I think we lost you right at the end of
we
that, but
even
I think
have,
what you're, oh, go ahead. We can hear you now.
sorry.
That's okay.
Then I was just honing in on whatever system works for you, use it. And this is an anti-system, but it allows me to keep the systems. I don't get distracted by, oh, here's a new lead source. Here's a new software. Here's this, here's that. It's like, I already know what my end game is. The thing that's missing is not the shiny object that was just emailed to me or all of this other stuff. The shiny object is boring. The more boring my day looks, the more boring I can get into routine, the better my business will be and the stronger my business will be. And so whenever I get that shiny object across my desk, I'm like, I literally delete it. I don't even look at it because I know if I start to get interested in it, that I'll want to explore it. And at the end of the day, I'm the reason that I'm not at my goal if I'm not there. So it's not the object. It's like I need to be having more conversations with humans about real estate, period. There's nothing else that's going to improve that except for me. So ignoring the shiny objects is the opposite of a system, but it protects the systems that I have.
I think that's a great system. And I believe that most people, no matter how big their businesses are, do, especially salespeople who are just excited. It is easy to get distracted, and falling in love with the boredom of just being consistent is important. How many people did you focus on talking to in the beginning of your business? And what does that look like for your Legion today?
My rule of thumb has always been talk to literally as many people as you can. Like I never had oh, I'm going to have 10 contacts today because, and this is where it's terrible, but I'm like, your job is to, like, if I'm riding in an Uber, I'm not texting or talking on the phone. I'm talking to the Uber driver. If I go to a restaurant, I'm sitting at the bar, even if I'm not drinking, because you can talk to the people next to you, you can talk to the bartender. If I go to an event and I don't know anyone, I go on purpose, even if I'm like dreading it, because I'm like, that's a lead generation activity. Anywhere I can be with other humans is a lead gen activity. So I put it on my calendar in green as like money. Like if my friend invites me to a 1-year-old birthday party, nobody wants to be at a 1-year-old's birthday party, like unless it's your own kid. Let's be honest. But I go because I need to be around people. And of course, you want to support your friends. You're like, I'm here for you, but the 1-year-old's never going to remember you're there. They're not taking attendance. They probably are like out crying in the corner somewhere, and you're just there to meet people. So when I'm in those environments, I take advantage of it and I make a point to go talk to everyone that I don't know, because you never know what conversation's going to spark. Where people, they into an event and they're like, I'm going to talk to the people that I know because that's the most comfortable thing. I'm here to hang out with them. You're here to do both. You're being supportive. You're going to see your friends. But like, if you can't meet new people, then why are you at a 1-year-old's birthday party or whatever the topic is? So I embrace the suck of the more people I don't know in the room, the more opportunity I actually have, because I have raving fans in the room if I was invited. It's the best time for me to be meeting people because then they can come up and be like, oh yeah, I forgot you're supposed to meet such and such. And then you can bring people together. It was never a number is the short. It was more like anytime I can communicate with another human, I'm taking the opportunity to do so. And I know sometimes it's online. Sometimes it's just hosting a freebie, a giveaway. Sometimes it's hosting an event. Sometimes it's sponsoring the swim team. Sometimes it's saying yes to a 1-year-old birthday party. But the answer is yes, if at all possible, to meet and be speaking with other people. And it will turn to business. And then the only other thing I'm going to say on this, because I could talk about this by itself and do like an 8-hour master course on just like talking to strangers. But you're at an interview. I learned early, like I'm at an interview at every interaction with another human being, whether I realize it or not. They may not be buying or selling, but by the time they go to buy or sell, they will have met 15 other realtors. And in order for them to remember me, I need to be competent. I need to do what I said I was going to do. My follow-up needs to be amazing. So for example, if someone's like, we should get our nails done, I will literally send myself an email, told Marie we should get our nails done, send it to myself so that the next day I can check back in and say, hey, you mentioned getting our nails done. Would tomorrow at 3 p.m. work for you? So I'm showing her I'm organized. They think you remember, even though you don't. You sent yourself a reminder, which is a system, like everything ends up in my email. And then you had follow through. So those are core competencies of hiring a realtor, even though we're not even talking about real estate. And so I just assume that any interaction that I have, I don't have to have my makeup done and my hair done and all that, but like my personality and my being is at an interview 24/7, every interaction with another human. And it takes one mess up to ruin your whole appearance to that person. And so one, you have to be authentic. Like you have to show up in your real person and not send your representative, because you don't want to slip up. So if you're just being you, you won't. And two, You have to have the characteristics that you would want in a hired seasoned professional in every interaction, because those are the people that will hire you without competing against other agents.
That's so good. I love it. And you're so right. And I love the way you've been intentional about being authentic at every part of your journey and just being you. And one of the things that we always talk about is then you get to attract people that you want to do business with. Because when they fall in love with the authentic you and you just follow through on everything that you promise, then they're going to want to do business with you, not even consider other people. And you're going to have fun working on it together. And then they're going to
Exactly.
refer to you. What does it look like for you to make sure that your team members and your clients feel like a person and a priority, not just a task, when you serve so many people every year?
That's a great question. And I definitely have room for improvement. And I try to show up when it matters most. So, for example, we do annual closing anniversary gifts. So, like, let's say someone's been in their house 8 years, they get a gift every year in the month that they purchased a home. And so, it doesn't matter that month if I'm sending 100 gifts or 300 gifts. Everyone who had a anniversary that and that's a system and a process that we have built over the years, so they get touched even if I forgot to call them. They're getting a physical gift, and it's not my brand. They're getting like an actual towel that they can put in their kitchen, and it's normally something funny, but it's not like, doesn't say Premier Property Solutions or Nicole on it. It is actually for them. We do client events, which I think are important, and we do team events, which I think are important. We do, I call it scrolling with a purpose, where if I'm on your social media platforms, I will screenshot a life event and send it to my email so that I can then follow up on that note, whether it's a handwritten card or a gift of some kind or sending a meal, anything I can do to add value. If I see a life change, we're going to do. So we just try when we have the opportunity to really push the relationship. And sometimes it's just a text to be like, hey, I know I've kind of been MIA, checking in on you. How are you doing?
I love the authenticity of that because one of the biggest pieces of pushback that I get from people when they maybe have good businesses but haven't been consistent around that is, well, they haven't heard from me in a while. So how do I just randomly say, oh, hey, congrats on your 1-year-old baby when I haven't talked to you for 3 years, you know? So I love that you can just be real and say, hey, sorry, like life got crazy and I do hear about you. How are things going?
Yeah. I think too, like, I'm not calling them for a sale if that's the case. I'm calling them legitimately to check in.
Yeah.
So, again, what you tell yourself matters. Like, if I was calling to say, hey, do you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, even though we haven't talked in 2 years, like, I do think that that is a salesy call. But if you call and you're genuinely asking a care call or text, hey, I saw on Facebook you guys are expecting. That's amazing. I'm sorry I haven't been in touch. I'm a part of several mom groups in the area. If you want to be added to any of them, don't hesitate to let me know. It's like anything I could do to just add something to their life, nothing to do with real estate. I know when real estate comes around, they'll remember that I've been there for them when and how I can. And they haven't called you either. I mean, you don't have to be best friends with all your clients.
I love that. And you really do always show up with value. So I love that you're getting to share it with this group here. I know that you've always been driven by impact, showing up with value and leadership. How do you stay rooted in your why as it evolves over time? As your business grows, as your life changes, as you became a mommy, how do you stay attached to what your why is?
Yeah, my why has definitely changed. I used to work because I was so unhappy in my personal life that it was my only escape. It's like the one thing that was going well. And I don't even think I was aware of that for a really long time, but it was very clear once I made some life changes that, like, I have just been using work to escape my personal reality. And so that was my why at the time. And it was a good one. You can be motivated by pain or pleasure. And like that pain motivated me so well. It put me right on this track. And then now my why has shifted to pleasure. It's like now my why is so that my son can be left with a legacy. And like my goal is to raise a humble, kind, generous multimillionaire. And I grew up in foster care. So like we didn't talk about money. We didn't have money. We didn't have any of that. And like I actively want him to be a multimillionaire, and everything that we do is so that happens so that he never has to say no to something that he wants to support or do or thrive, but also that it's not handed to him. And that is a very hard balance of making sure he's a competent, like he's 2 and I have him put his dish in the dishwasher. And it's not like we're running this tyrant. We have a ton of fun and he's a blast, but like he puts his clothes in the laundry basket. Like it's his responsibility to take care of him where he can. And part of me, this leads back to your why, is like, oh my gosh, you just should baby him. And I'm like, I am doing him a disservice by not having expectations of what he is capable of at any point in his life. And I believe that. I believe that if I do everything for him or whatever, and I think every family's different and to each their own, but like if I want him to be able, and if it's what he wants, to serve and lead and never have a money issue, then every parenting decision goes to that, like from that. And so my why has to do with that too. We want to be done working or at least have the option of full time freedom by the time he is in high school so that we can really be around truly without compromising family trips, college trips, all the things.
I love that so much. I find so many times that when people have completely shifted the wealth situation for their family, that many times they make the mistake of spoiling and not teaching their children how to have a work ethic. And you are doing just the opposite to ensure that that doesn't happen for your family trajectory. And I just love so much that you brought that up and that you care so much about the kind of humans that you're raising. It's really beautiful. It's so common how many conversations I have now where people just either want their children to feel like they don't have to really lift a finger or do anything for themselves because of what they have navigated. And in reality, you've really thought about the kind of adult you want to raise and the kind of future that you want to cause well beyond when you're here on this earth. And that's really powerful. And I'm so proud of you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
If someone listening is in the thick of either the hard beginning or a hard season in their business, what is something that you would say to them?
It's all hard. You just have to choose your heart. I mean, I remember being overwhelmed and not realizing, like, okay, it's intimidating, right? You have these people selling a ton of houses around you, and then you have, all the new people around you that are like little ducks paddling in the water trying to stay afloat. And you have everything surrounding you, and it feels overwhelming, I feel like. But at the end of the day, if you keep pushing through and just backtrack, how many homes do I need to sell per month to pay my minimum bills? And for me, that ended up at the time, this is far from the case now, but at the time, it was one house a month. And I'm like, one house a month? I have a whole month to sell one house? Like, of course I can do that. If I was actually treating this like a job, working 40 hours a week on purpose, on the right things, and I'm not selling one house a month, like, I'm not meant to be in this business. Most of the time, people don't get started and they're like, I can't do it. It's not for me. And it's like, it's because they're not treating it like a job. They're choosing the hard of failure instead of the hard of doing the job. So choose your hard and just remember, like, you don't need to sell as many houses as you think to pay your bills. And everything above 1 for me was bonus. So I was like, 2, awesome. I just made double what I needed. How amazing is that? 3, even better.
I love that. And everyone here can really figure that out. And I love how you've connected leadership, your why with numbers and kind of brought that around. I feel like people don't naturally always think about like the power in numbers and the clarity that the detail brings you, even if you don't love details. And that just causes you momentum. So the way that you think about that is really powerful. What is something that I didn't ask you about that you think is important for everyone here to hear from you? If you're reflecting on your journey and thinking about the business right now.
My 2 like quotes of the month have been progress, not perfection. Just get it done. Just get into motion. You can always fix. Like every transaction is one client at a time. If you try something new and it doesn't work, like leads me to my next saying, pivot, don't panic. Like we're not curing cancer. Nobody's dying. taking control. Nothing makes me more mad when an agent is like calling me 4 times on a Saturday at 8 p.m. for like a showing they have on Monday, because that's like the second they're thinking about it. I'm like, just pivot, just take a beat. I still don't take their call, by the way, because like it's Saturday at 8:30. What if we're not in multiple offers due at 9? Like, what is so pressing that I need to stop what I'm doing for their emergency? Like, I'm going to pivot back to what I've decided to do with this hour, and I will get back to them during the hours I blocked for work. Like, that's appropriate. We don't have an appointment, so I can call back at my convenience. So progress, not perfection, and pivot, don't panic.
Love, love, love. I am so grateful for everything that you've shared today. And I know that you could spend hours on most of the topics that we talked about. What's next for you? I asked you right when you took a sip of water. Sorry about that.
No, it's good. Um, we've recently made a decision to make our world bigger. And it's interesting because 4 years ago, we made a decision to like make our world smaller. And we're like, let's just become more simple and more compact. And I'm not meant to be that simple or compact. Like, I'm meant to be like in the wild. Like, and so we are like uprooting our whole life, our whole financial strategy, like everything we had worked for to make our worlds bigger and hopefully be in more challenging conversations. And when we walk in the room, I'll tell you where this stemmed from. We have Canadian friends. They invited us to their Christmas party and we flew up for the day. Like, literally, I had a client event, pictures with Santa, hosted the event, drove to the airport, landed, went to their house, and like we stayed up and did this party. They introduced us to everyone, which was so kind. We met them on a cruise, by the way. This is only like the third time we've ever met them. And not one person asked us about work. And so we went home and we were reflecting and we were like, isn't it cool that like we didn't talk about work at all? So we started doing that in our conversations socially and even like somewhat professionally, of just like asking about the human, not the Americanized work schedule. And in that, we found that most of the people we are spending time with don't have anything to talk about if they're not complaining about work or not complaining about like literally a very common response like, what'd you do this week? Any fun trips coming up? Anything you're working on or reading or interested in? And most of the time it's like, oh, I just got through work and kids and that's it. And we realized that we would like to be fueled by bigger conversation. And so we've been making some intentional moves, which is actually kind of sad, around our friendships on, we don't want to at the end of the week talk about, oh, we just survived, kids, work, sports. It's like there's so much more to life and we're not on this planet for that. And so the next thing for us is embracing like hopefully our bigger world, like not necessarily bigger financial. I mean, who would be mad about that? But like just a bigger concept of like, really, who are we going to be in our midlife as humans, and diving into that so that we're not the boring ones in the room and we're not the ones at the end of the week being like, oh, we just made it through, just every week survival.
Gosh, that's really good. That's such a golden nugget for every single person. I'm so glad that you shared that. All right. So, as promised, you guys are going to have time to ask Nicole questions. And I would love for a couple of you to share any questions you have. And we have about 14 minutes left on the call. So, go for it.
I'll go. I loved how you talked about, having young children and everything and daycare and all of that. And I feel like probably my biggest, and I'm a brand new agent, so I have no business yet. It's been 3 months and I'm like, lead gen, all that stuff. And I feel pretty good about it. I feel in alignment, but I sometimes, like, one of the limiting beliefs that keeps arising is I feel like and I hate saying this out loud, as you know, but I'm like, I don't have the same amount of time as everybody else. I've got like 3 kids home for the summer, one's in daycare, and then I have another business I run. So I'm like, I have 3 full-time jobs. How do you make 40 hours work? Stop playing the victim, which I feel so gross saying that word because I've never been like victim mentality. but yet I hear myself, like, it's so hard. Like, I don't have as many hours as other people. When. So I'm just like, how do you get your mind focused on DPA and shorter windows of time? Is that a complete question?
I think,
You got me.
yeah, I think I hear what you're asking. So just tell me if I don't answer the right question. I think you have to decide how many hours and what blocks you are committed to real estate in that week, and make sure during those hours you're doing the thing that makes the biggest impact and moves the needle forward the fastest with the least amount of resistance. So for example, if in a week you have 10 hours for real estate, I would say 4 of them should be open houses, at at least like out there where people can walk in. And then at the open house, don't sit there idle if nobody's coming through. Now you have the time you're allocating for people to come through, and you can be working on some of your other stuff. So don't spend the time working on your listing presentation. Don't spend the time working on your buyer consultation. Don't spend the time like auditing your LinkedIn. Like, spend the time meeting the people and having the conversations, and the rest will work itself out, and you'll get to it when it's time. Was that kind of what you were asking?
Yeah, it is. And that's good too, because I do a ton of open houses. That's sort of like, yeah, open houses and YouTube and lead gen. That's all I do.
How many hours do you have to spend a week?
It varies. And I guess like I can get to be a little bit wild with my schedule because I'm the driver for all 3 kids because I don't have a driver in the house. So I will find an entire day of me zigzagging back and forth to drop kids off at jobs and take to driver's licenses and all that kind of stuff. So I'll lose a day in like driving. So I've been doing, I mean, I guess I could call some of the stuff I do lead gen because like I make phone calls and, you know, while I'm driving, especially, but it's usually kind of like connect calls and chitty chatting. But I like the whole concept of making it a lot easier, like leaning into like what's the easiest, the path of least resistance, like make it fun. So it's like I can call and talk to people I want to talk to, but sometimes it's the person at the top of my list that I'm like,
Yeah,
he's going to let me sell him a piece of land.
I would probably too, given what you just shared, like set a contact goal per day and just start going through your A to Z. Every Monday, like I'm gonna leave the day with 10 contacts no matter what, even if you are just calling your sphere. And then make sure at some point, at least, real estate comes up in some form or fashion without being salesy, even just by saying, hey, how's work going? I know you got a promotion, or leading into, they'll then reciprocate that question. How's work going for you? And you'll be like, I'm loving it. I got my real estate license. I'm with the #1 brokerage in the world. Like, I don't know what brokerage you're at, but like whatever your brokerage is, like sell it, like, and make it happen. And it is lead gen to have conversations. So I would do that. And then just something else you may want to consider. I don't know your finances, but figure out what your hourly rate is before real estate. And if you can afford under any circumstance to take things off your plate below your hourly rate, because even I'll hear someone say like, well, I like grocery shopping. And it's like, okay, do you like it enough to spend $500 more if you're hourly, like by the time you drive there, shop, drive back, unpack, and then by the way, you've been interrupted 17 times and you probably bought more there because you walked by it. Like, okay, pay the $20 premium for someone to shop for you so that you have it off your list. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. Is it the highest and best use of your time? And so do an audit of what's your hourly rate before real estate? Can you afford to take anything off your plate? Lawn, cleaning, shopping, gifting, kid clothes, shopping, like anything. Because every hour and like mental drain counts.
Yeah. That's
What
good
I
advice.
love about that you just gave her, Nicole, is she already thinks that way because she runs other businesses. So her hearing it from one more person to continue to think in that direction for this business is something she absolutely can work for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for school to start back up. And I get like a week off. They go to in the summer, they go to their dad's for like a whole week. And then I don't like protect myself. I just work. And then I'm like up on my laptop because no one's interrupting me until 4:30 in the morning because I just go and go and go. I'm like, no, they're not here for a week. I'm just gonna, and I'm like, balance.
I
Yeah.
have a question if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am. Pamela, go for it.
I wrote down a lot of what you said. I love the pivot and don't panic. I need a t-shirt that says that. You mentioned leaning into the transaction coordinators, and there was a phrase that you used about perfection. I would love for you to repeat it. My problem right now, I was out of the country for a couple of weeks, and I did rely on transaction coordinators, and I did not truly let go. I ended up doing things because I can get them done faster, and maybe they weren't urgent, but they were necessary, and I hated having that pending, and I did not let go. So I kind of like took over. So how did you overcome that?
I think if you want your business to grow, you have to be set up for scale. And the habits we take on when we aren't busy will crush the future business you take on. Because if you keep control of everything, that ultimately can be leveraged. The second you get one too many transactions, you're going to get burnout and start the real estate roller coaster of like, well, now I'm doing all this for the transaction, and which means I'm not generating business and I'm not lead genning and I'm not following up. And then it takes you double the time to get back up the top of the roller coaster instead of sitting here and knowing that, yeah, it may take 6 more hours, or sometimes, I mean, I've had an in-house transaction coordinator for 10 years. We've worked together exclusively for over a decade. And there are still things where I'm like, wow, he responded really quick to that. And man, that took longer than I'd hoped. But guess what? It's fine. It just like, it's something that cannot be on my plate, because if I want to scale, I cannot have small business habits. And so that's what you have to tell yourself. Like, you can't collect these tasks that don't have to be done by you now, because even though you feel like you have the time and capacity today, the goal is to not have that time and capacity. Or if you have the time and capacity, to have freedom with it, not be tied to tasks. So tell yourself, like, the future you will thank you, the future you will thank you, the future you will thank you. And if the transaction coordinator is not responding, not to your level, but in a reasonable, appropriate time frame for the issue at hand, then that's just a transparency conversation between the two of you of, hey, moving forward for questions like this, I expect a 24-hour response time. Is that something you can accommodate?
Love the way you phrase that, and you hit the nail on the head for that being useful for Pamela. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Nicole, the other Nicole, spelled slightly different, has her hand up.
Hello. So now that you are completely shifting everything to be part of this bigger world, what do you wish you did differently at the beginning to get to there?
I wish I had set bigger goals, because we set goals and they were achievable, hard, but achievable. And when we settled into them, and primarily financially, we were like, what would it look like if we bought our house in cash? And we're like, that would be amazing. We wouldn't be stressed at all. And we weren't, but I was then spending like mortgage payments on Amazon and on like Creighton, like stupid stuff, because it was like, okay, now that that's done, retirement is the next big goal. And there wasn't enough in between gems where I was actually making worse financial decisions to not have had the mortgage payment than I was to have the payment and be working towards something. And so it is a huge goal, but it wasn't big enough for what we were capable of. I'll also add, like, we sold some properties and stuff like that. It's not like we just like have all this money, but we got settled in the goal and we used it as a destination instead of a journey. And the journey got super stale at the end of the destination. We're like, okay, we need now to level up our thinking. And it's not about the money, it's about the discipline required to get to the next level. And when the goal is so far away to your next stop, you're not going to stick with it. So we needed to put in some incremental requirements to keep us on track.
That's so good. Did that answer your question, Nicole?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Can everyone please come off of mute and just share in one sentence, what's the top thing that you're taking away so that Nicole knows you're going to walk away from this conversation and have a more powerful life and business?
Hello, everyone. This is Trinette. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. There was so much said that I don't know if I can just put it all in one, but her systems and her operation, it's giving me more to think about and more to strive for as far as getting my systems together. I don't know if you will be able to help me out at all, but I would be grateful if I can get some input on systems because I'm organized, but apparently not as organized as I would like to be. And I'm reaching out now and asking if I can get some assistance, only if you have time and only if you're willing. Thank you.
That is so sweet. That is her jam. So I'll make sure that she has everyone's contact information that is on this so that she can send out any things that will make those better because she could have talked about that conversation a long time. So I love that you're raising your hand, Trinette, and you have a really good trajectory going. So I'm glad that you got a lot from this. All right, one more person. What did you get from today?
Hi, I'm Carlin. One of the things that you said at the very beginning of the call was sometimes succeeding slow feels like failing, but you just kept going. And I think that is definitely something I needed to hear in this season. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're doing better than you think.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Everyone that showed up for yourselves today and came to listen to Nicole and Nicole for taking time out of her day. We're just so grateful. Thank you for who you are as a human. Thank you to everyone who showed up today. And if you didn't have a chance to share on here, and even if you did, make sure that you go on the Legacy Collaborative group and share what you got out of it. I'm sure she'll be super grateful to see all of you take action and this to make a huge impact in your life.
Thanks
So
for having
thank you
me.
for being
Happy
here.
to help.
Thank you,
Thank
Nicole.
you, Nicole.
Thank you.